everyone, welcome back to the almost final episode of Let's Play Seduce Me, Mathews route. Technically, this game-wise, it is the end, but, you know, bonus content and blah 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 blah, who cares? Let us get it on. I want to get it on with Baby Boy, okay? I need to get it on with Baby Boy. It's been long overdue. We need to get it done, okay? Okay, let's go. After what seemed like hours, I finally woke up, slightly refreshed. My body knew that if I slept any longer, I'd be up all night, which was not part of the plan for the day. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, letting a soft groan escape my lips. In response, something beside my bed shuffled, causing me to look over. I didn't know what I was expecting. Beside me, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was Mathew, rousing himself up to see me awake. I smiled at him, seeing his slightly ruffled hair and tired eyes.
Oh, you're awake. How do you feel?
I feel better now that you're here. Hehe. Mathew nodded before he looked down at the bed, taking my hands into his.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Damn it, Mathew, you're too cute for your own good. Mathew, it's not your fault.
No, please listen. I know that Diana and Malix have come after you because of us, so it's our fault that you're constantly in danger. If I hadn't convinced everyone to come to the human world, we would have never been attacked by Malix and hunted down and brought you in danger and...
I quickly reached over and put my finger on his lips, stopping him from going any further. I didn't want to hear anymore. Mathew, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cupped Mathew's cheek, staring at him with a concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate, and she'd hunt anyone for them. It wasn't his fault she was desperate enough to hunt them down. However, I grew curious. So, Mathew, you're a noble? Mathew looked at me and gave me a goofy grin. Oh my god, that goofy grin is so cute. God damn it, Mathew!
I was once, but even if I had the title, I didn't really feel like a noble.
How come?
Well, I was the fourth noble son of the Demon Lord. With Eric and Sam ahead of me in case James couldn't fulfill his duties, there was no way I was getting the throne. So, I spent the majority of my time trying to make my mother happy. She was always unhappy.
Unhappy? How come?
Well, my dad was he married 4 different women. Each of us came from a different mother, and my mother was the last to be married and bear a son. The thing with succubi, though, is that they get jealous very easily.
So, what happened?
The other wives got mad and scorned each other. It wasn't violent, but we never ate together for a reason. My mom, though, was too proud to have jealousy. She was the last woman the Demon Lord married, so she felt important. She felt that because he stopped marrying, she had the charm to stop his marrying spree.
Mathew let out a small laugh, a hint of depression lingering in the breath he let out.
But then the Demon Lord took another woman and she bore him a son outside of wedlock. Damien. The wives, including my mother, were furious. In response, the Demon Lord had a spell cast on them, turning them into spiritual orbs.
Oh, that's horrible. Mathew nodded, pressing his lips together in both agreement and sadness.
They could never have physical form, and they lost all their powers. They became slaves trapped in the Demon Lord's castle. However, they were kept alive to make sure their sons grew up to be competent demons.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Mathew gently shrugged, letting a small nostalgic smile grace his lips.
She taught me how to be a demon, though. Not just a demon, a grown, adult demon. I read books, I learned strategy, everything that James was doing under the Demon Lord's watch. Only, I trained with just my mother. She wanted me to surprise the Demon Lord one last time, and maybe take the throne away from James.
Mathew then reached into his pocket and took out a small mirror.
Here, I'll show you.
Mathew handed it to me and sent a wave of blue mist into it. It began to glow until it enveloped the room in a bright light. When the light was subsided, I was back in the main hall of the demon's castle. I looked around, feeling unable to move, but I could practically see everything as clear as I had before. However, my focus gathered on Mathew, sitting on the throne as if it was him and read... Wow, I can not read right now. Sitting on the throne as if it was his and reading a book. For some reason, Mathew reminded me of James at that moment. He seemed engrossed in his reading each word and observing each meaning. Him on the throne surprisingly fit him. There was something about him.
This is an easy read.
A sudden cry, however, echoed through the hall, forcing Mathew to stop, close the book, and stand from the throne.
Mother?
I looked around, confused at the cry and where it was coming from. It seemed to just echo through the room without any source of direction. Mathew sighed and placed the book on the armrest of the throne before he cupped his hands together.
Fly and comfort her, will you?
As Mathew opened up his hands, a small bird with blue and purple feathers perked up from the hiding place. Mathew smiled before releasing it into the air. I watched as it flew off and glided through an open archway. The sound of its flapping wings faded into the air as it flew farther into the castle.
Come on.
I could tell that Mathew was holding his breath. He must have cared very deeply for his mother. It was incredibly sweet. At last, the sound of the crying stopped, making Mathew release a happy sigh.
There we go.
Mathew cracked his knuckles in approval and reached for his book. However, before he could even graze the cover with his fingers, the sound of pattering entered the room.
You, foot son, away from the throne!
All right.
Suck my dick, nerd.
Ah, what am I going to do with you? You're a child.
Mathew glared at the servant, as the servant quickly brushed the throne off, like there was dust all over it.
The next time I see you on the throne, I will inform the Demon Lord. Understand?
Yes.
The demon servant continued to brush over the throne before knocking the book from the armrest. Mathew froze as the servant quickly patted over and picked it up.
What is this? A book? Why do you have it?
I was reading.
You read? You don't need to read. You're never going to need knowledge for anything, fourth son.
I saw Mathew's eyes twitch, making me grimace. His servant sure had a mouth. It was annoying at the very least.
I'll just take this book and bring it to the heir himself to read. He's reading faster than the library can provide.
But that's...
Raestro's next area of study.
The servant began to walk away, ignoring Mathew's glare of anger. The servant stopped, however, to look to Mathew to pound one more nail into the wound.
Let's face it, kid. You have the smallest horns, the smallest frame, and the least amount of power among the noble sons. You'll never be like them, so just stop trying. Use your incubus powers on others who have a child fetish or something.
Ouch! I hope he's not referring to us. The demon looked at Mathew up and down before rushing off wherever he came from. As the servant disappeared, Mathew summoned a knife and chucked it in the direction where the servant left. The knife embedded itself into the hard stone inside the door into the hall.
Ugh, I hate that guy. Disgusting pig fawn.
Mathew walked over and sat on the foot of the throne, clearly aggravated. Eventually, Mathew stopped the magic, lowering the mirror and holding it in his hands before looking to me.
I had hoped to show you my mother, but I guess the mirror wanted to show you something else. Sorry.
That servant is terrible.
Tell me about it. He served the Demon Lord almost his whole life. Ugly pig fawn.
Mathew laughed while I laughed at the insult. It was good to see Mathew in good spirits despite what was shown and what was happening around us. Still, it was sad to see that I was considered the child of the noble sons. He could read books of knowledge that his brothers hadn't read, and he seemed caring. It was insulting to see someone tear him down like that. Mathew smiled at me before pocketing the mirror.
Whatever. Thankfully, we got out of there, so I could be with my brothers like a normal family. No hierarchies, no politics, no pig funds, nothing.
I smiled. It was good that he saw the positive side. However, his face slowly turned to a sad one before he looked down at the bed. Mathew?
You've done a lot for me and my brothers. Sheltering us, letting us continue to live here. It may not seem like much, but for us it's everything. But I don't want you to get hurt because of us.
I watched in speechless silence as Mathew lifted his head, his eyes full of almost hopelessness.
That's why I'm sorry.
Mathew lowered his head in shame. I couldn't help but feel my heart squeeze within my chest at the sight. He truly cared. Mathew let out a small sigh before looking to me with a new smile. He hid his sadness well, but I could tell he was still upset about the whole ordeal.
Alright. You need to sleep and I need to make dinner. I'll wake you up when dinner is done.
Mathew gently pressed me back down onto the bed, resolved in what had happened. I want to steal the keys. Come back here. I couldn't let him leave without doing something. I quickly pulled Mathew down to me, lifting my head and gently kissed him, softly laying a hand on his cheek to keep his face close. Mathew stared in deep surprise before hesitantly kissing me back, caressing my cheek and slightly melting at the touch of our lips. A soft sigh escaped his lips before he slowly pulled away with a smile. He gently licked his lips, making me go red in the face at the simple gesture. He let out a satisfied sigh before nuzzling my forehead.
Go to sleep.
And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me to rest as per his request. I smiled to myself before relaxing into the mattress. Oh boy. I suddenly tensed up. I felt majorly uneasy. Something wasn't right. I felt it in my core. She must be here. The thought of her in the house infuriated me beyond belief. I had to make sure she was not here. I rolled out of bed and quickly left my room, wandering the halls and listening closely. She was a demon, but I was listening very intently. There was no way she would have been able to sneak up on me. I know you're here. Where are you? I could feel myself growl. It wasn't a matter of fear that she'd take away the boys anymore. Her very existence had lit a fire of rage within my gut, which only grew as each day went by. This feud was getting on my nerves, and I knew it would not end well for one of us. How was I going to lose to that demon bitch?
Leave me alone.
My heart skipped. Diana was with Mathew. My mind flew into slow motion, playing fake images of Diana trying to seduce Mathew in my head to further fan the angry flames inside of me. Instinctively, I followed Mathew's voice. I was approaching the grand lobby and followed the commotion to the dining room. The sound was echoing from the kitchen, so I peeked inside while hiding around the corner. I almost growled at the sight. Mathew was holding to one side of the kitchen's island counter with Diana holding the other side, looking to him with a smirk.
Oh, come on, Mathew. Don't you like games? A game of tag sounds so fun.
Not with you. Now go away.
Not with you.
I'm hurt. Wounded, truly. Did I go too far?
You went too far when you came here and attacked her.
Pity. And here I thought I was going to offer you the chance to become something better than just a simple incubus.
What was Diana going on about? More than just an incubus? She was insane.
How about becoming the next demon lord?
I froze. What did she mean? Becoming the next demon lord? The boys weren't in the demon world anymore. They had no claim to the throne anymore. Mathew stared at Diana, which made me worried.
The next demon lord?
Well, currently, I'm the contracted bride to the heir to the throne. Since the throne is open, it's available to any son of the Demon Lord's line. Think about it. You'll gain the throne, the land, and a bride to continue your lineage with. Doesn't that sound like a perfect life for an incubus like you? You'll show your father and mother how grown up you are, that you're not just some little cute boy people can take for granted.
I could feel myself gripping my fist tightly in anger. How dare this girl try to convince Mathew to return to the demon world? He ran away from it. He didn't have to go back. He shouldn't go back. My mind began to wander, imagining him saying yes. He would leave and the brothers would follow to bring him back. They'd be trapped because Diana would make sure they could never leave. Mathew would be the new demon lord with Diana as his queen, and I'd lose him.
Like I would believe you.
You don't need to believe me, Mathew. You just need to come back home with me. I promise. You'll be respected as you were supposed to be.
I'm not falling for it.
Fall for what? The truth? The truth is that your brothers still treat you like a child, even though the demon world is far behind you. The truth is that your little human love affair is fleeting. She can never see you as a man, just as a little boy who wants to grow up.
Okay, just because I call him baby boy doesn't mean I don't acknowledge him as a man.
Stop it!
I stared at Mathew as Mathew chuckled and a handful of knives at Diana. who ducked and dodged them with ease. They dug themselves into the tile wall before fading away as if they didn't exist.
You dare attack me?
I'm not going back. And that is final!
I could see Matthew's muscles tense and flex, wanting to attack Diana. The girl in question, however, took a deep breath and looked to Mathew with a pleading look.
You won't even return to your mother? She's been crying ever since you left.
Do not bring her into this!
Mathew glared at Diana, circled the island towards him.
She begged me to bring you back. She wants you to get what you deserve. The throne.
I don't believe you!
Mathew then walked away from Diana, heading to the fridge to start dinner, as if she wasn't there. Diana stopped and leaned against the counter.
She'll never love you, you know.
I don't mind. I care for her.
The human girl? You must be joking. A human like her can't possibly provide you what you need. She's a human. You're a demon.
I felt the urge to storm in and shut her mouth. It would give away my position, but I was growing extremely tired of Diana. Barge in and set her ass straight. Hell yeah. I decided to be assertive and quickly stepped into the room, rushing to be in front of Mathew. Diana and Mathew looked at me in surprise as I glared daggers at Diana. Get out already.
Well, well, little human. You're awfully nosy in business that doesn't concern you.
It does concern me.
Does it? I don't think a human would understand the importance of this affair.
You're asking him to leave to be someone he doesn't want to be. That's not going to happen.
Oh? And what makes you so sure about that?
Because I love him, goddammit! Diana stared in shock at my exclamation. Was it not what she expected? I didn't care what she expected. I wasn't going to lose the man I had grown to love.
You love him?
Yes, I love him. Diana's lips twitched, and the edges curling into a amused smirk as she stared at me.
So what? A human's love isn't enough to understand the situation. A demon can never reciprocate human feeling.
To both of our surprise, however, Mathew stepped forward and put an arm around me, pulling me close to his body.
I love her.
I saw the confidence Diana had shatter in her eyes as she stared at Mathew at his words. I could see the struggle in her face to try and find some weakness in Mathew. In me? Anything.
A demon love a human? Impossible.
You heard me. I love her, Diana. I'd do anything for her, and she cares for me more than anyone in the abyssal plane ever had. More than you'll ever know. She makes me feel like the adult I'm supposed to be, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Ever.
Aww. Diana took a step back, physically feeling the sting in Matthew's words in her chest. She had lost. I could see it in her eyes. Diana's eyes grew dull as she glared at me and Mathew. It seemed almost uncharacteristic of her. Yet it was something I wasn't surprised to see come from her face.
Very well. Fine. Valet.
And with that, Diana faded into the ground into a purple pentagram, crossing her arms and almost looking upset. Mathew and I were left alone, left with the silence of the room. I finally let out the air I was unconsciously holding in my chest, relaxing from the ordeal. Mathew stepped to me and held me gently, surprising me.
Are you all right?
I nodded in response, unable to speak so immediately after being surprised. Mathew let out a sigh, relaxing it in the embrace. I gently placed my hands around him, returning the embrace slightly. I could hear Matthew's heart beat. He held me close in his arms, and I felt safe beyond words. Are you okay?
Of course I'm okay. I'm holding you.
Aww. I think you're more of a charmer than Eric sometimes. I looked up at Mathew, surprised at what he said. Mathew blushed, moving a strand of my hair from my face to look down at me.
You mean so much to me. You make me feel like more than just a kid. I've never felt this happy before with anyone, and here you are giving me every reason to love you. I love you so friggin' much.
I stared wide-eyed, blushing like a maniac. Was this real? No way. This couldn't be real. Was Mathew confessing to me? Confessing his love for me? Nani? Mathew gently caressed my cheek, staring into my eyes with a loving, almost hopeful expression. The warmth of his hand invited me to nuzzle into it, closing my eyes. This wasn't a dream. My heart was pounding hard enough where I was sure Mathew could hear it. Mathew gently leaned in, closing his eyes. He stopped, however, remaining just a mere torturous inch away from my lips. He wanted me to show my feelings for him. He had left himself open for me to kiss him, or leave him empty. The power I had was unbelievable. God damn, you know we're gonna kiss him. I loved him, and wanted to give him exactly what he wanted. I gently leaned in, letting my lips finally touch his gingerly. Mathew let out an almost surprised gasp against my lips before wrapping both of his arms around my waist, pulling me close to him. I moved my arms up and around his neck, feeling the kiss between us deepen into a heated height. My chest was pounding, making me feel and see fireworks in my mind. Mathew was everything I desired. He was the man I wanted, demon or not. It was so all supernatural to fall in love with someone so quickly. Maybe it was the sense of magic I was thrown into. Maybe it was Cupid playing with my heart. Either way, I found myself melting at the thought of him being with me. I found myself combing my fingers through Mathew's hair, making the man holding me softly tremble at my touch. He gently nibbled on my lower lip, asking me to deepen the kiss between us even further. I easily teased him before finally opening my mouth slightly for him. His tongue gently danced with mine as one of his hands slid up my back and cradled my head. He gently leaned my body back, making me cling to him as the heat of our kiss rose higher and higher. Gently, though, Mathew slowed the kiss down and pulled away, staring down at me. His eyes burned for me, wanting me to melt and buckle in his arms. I could feel myself melt already. Mathew opened his mouth to speak, but as a very small blush ran along his cheeks, he was reduced to shy silence. I stared as he tried to find the words to say in my eyes. I knew exactly what he wanted. He didn't need energy, though, right? Are you?
No, I
stared wide-eyed, feeling a blush on my cheeks grow. He didn't say anything more, but I knew what words would have followed if he continued. He wanted me. I was stunned. Was I that appealing to him? Was his passion really that deep for me? Mathew gently nuzzled my forehead, losing the blush and finally being able to speak.
If you don't want to, we don't have to. I mean, it's up to you.
I could feel my mind go numb and purr at the idea. A moment within an incubus, he was a demon of sex, the purest form of lust and desire. My world would rock and I would enjoy every second of it. Okay, hold on. Kitty, get out of here. Sorry, I was trying to nibble on some wires, and that would have been a bad idea. At the same time, I was indeed inexperienced. Diana wasn't wrong when she claimed me to be innocent. Did I want to give that innocence to him, especially this early? I found myself forgetting the words yes and no. What could I say to him? I knew then what I wanted, but how to say it without breaking the moment? Seduce me, baby boy! I couldn't believe the two words that came out of my mouth. It made the most sense to tell him yes. I needed him. I wanted him. Those two words must have made something in him finally break. Mathew gently wrapped his arms around me and went back to kissing me passionately. I could feel energy whiz about me, making me open one eye to see blue light glowing around us. When the light subsided, I was in my bedroom on my bed with Mathew above me. I stared as Mathew held a look of both lust and love. My heart skipped a beat simply from his gaze on me. This was okay. I wanted to see all of him and give myself to him. I gently guided his head to me, kissing him slowly and bringing him further into the mood. Mathew slid both his hoodie and his shirt off and tossed them to the side before cradling my head in his hands and kissing me deeply. I felt heat rise in my body, making me undo the tie underneath my collar and release the buttons on my own shirt. Quickly, I removed my shirt and vest, making Mathew stop kissing me and stare in slight surprise. I was simply in a bra, but I could feel a blush invade my cheeks. My shy side began to fester in my mind. Did I really want this? To undress before a demon? No. This was the man I loved, and yet I felt my innocence drape over me in almost shame. I needed to fight it. I quickly rolled both of us over to where I was sitting on Mathew's lap, staring down at him. Mathew sat up, looking up at me with one of the most sexiest smiles I've ever seen. Mathew pulled me close, knowing I was still shy, and began to kiss my lips over and over. Each kiss was his promise to keep me safe, keep me comfortable, and to love me. I kept my arms wrapped around Mathew, taking each kiss he gave and giving him my own kisses in return. I didn't know if it was the fact we were both top nude or maybe I just craved his touch, but I didn't want to let him go. However, as he held me, I could suddenly feel the shiver of his hands. Was I his first? He wasn't going to tell me. He wanted me to enjoy the moment, but was afraid of screwing up. His shivering hand showed me his emotions perfectly. As he laid me down and knelt over me, Matthew smiled and finally embraced me as we both desired. The pleasure between us would be heavenly, and we'd go through it together. I closed my eyes and gave myself to Mathew. My body, my mind, my soul, it all belonged to him as he held me. His body, his mind, his soul, it all belonged to me as I gave into his embrace. His kisses and fingers over my skin would forever engrave themselves into my memory as our passion rose through incredible heights. Our breaths and moans to each other equally sounded and echoed like a blissful chant we never wished to end. We kept moving, loving, filling every inch of our bodies until we had enough, and I was enveloped in his embrace. Skin to skin, heartbeats matching, we held each other in the glow of the aftermath. I nuzzled my head under Matthew's chin as he held me close.
I love you.
I love you too. Just to hear those words come from Matthew's mouth made my heart flutter. To hear me answer made my soul warm with glee. I could feel both of us sink into a peaceful sleep together. It was the best sleep I had in days, and I was happy. I had love, and I had my happiness. My life was simply perfect. When I opened my eyes, I found myself staring into Matthew's bare chest. I blushed, but I looked up to see Matthew still sleeping. His sleeping face made me giggle softly, but the reality of the situation made my heart flutter. I couldn't believe it. I was lying next to a man I had grown to love with all my heart. His warm embrace made me feel safe, and, as the tender moment we just shared replayed in my head, I couldn't help but smile and snuggle into his chest further. Unconsciously, he held me tighter to his body, giving me more of his warmth. I didn't want to move, but then my core slightly tightened and made me sit up without waking the man next to me. I felt my legs move and bring me to my balcony window, where I opened the glass and stepped out onto the patio. I stared wide-eyed at Diana, who sat cross-legged on the railing of my balcony with her glowing red eyes stare upon me. I opened my mouth to object, but Diana stopped me.
Before you get all huffy, I didn't come here to take your precious man away. By the way, how was it exactly? Demons are the best lovers, after all.
I glared. What do you want, Diana?
Well, I just wanted to see how you truly feel. You know, without him around to influence you.
What are you talking about?
I'm giving you an opportunity to come clean about these feelings of yours, and to give you your salvation.
What was Diana up to? This was beyond crazy. Nothing she had done made sense. Why was I still alive at this rate? What's keeping you from just killing me and taking them?
You are not worth my time.
Bullshit. Not worth your time? What are you, afraid of something might happen? All at once, I felt my body being lifted into the air and move over past the railings, leaving me with nothing but the ground below to threaten me with a collision death.
Oh, trust me, dear. I'm not afraid to kill you. I can drop you right now and leave your body to rot until the morning, when the boys would find you.
I wanted to speak, but the thought of her letting go and letting me fall to my death scared my voice into silence. Diana then chuckled and wheeled my body back to the balcony, setting me down gently.
Alas, if I kill you, then the boys would never come with me willingly back to the demon world, and then I'd have to chase them all around the world, or kill them and drag them back. But then their father wouldn't be happy, and blah blah blah. Too much work.
Thus why I said bullshit. Diana seemed very business-oriented, as if the boys were cargo more than men. It irked me, but then she smiled.
I'm giving you one chance to denounce your love for the demon in your bed, and let me take him and the other boys back to the demon world.
And why, may I ask, would I do that?
There are so many reasons why, actually. There's the reason that he's a demon and you're a human, so you two can never truly have a happily ever after. Then there's the reason that demons truly do not know how to love, despite what he may proclaim. The list goes on and on. The point is, if you give me the boys, I will promise you eternal happiness.
Eternal happiness?
That's right. I have the power to give you anything you desire. Power, men, women, money, fame. Name it, and it's yours. A demon never goes back on their word, and I have the power to obtain anything you wish. Our deal is our contract.
I could only stare in shock. This was a dream. It had to be. However, Diana smiled an almost genuine smile at me, shaking me to the reality of the situation. She would never smile like that.
Don't you wish to be free of your destiny? Your father constantly berating you to become the next CEO of your grandfather's company.
How did you... I was almost floored in surprise. How did Diana know all of this? She was a succubus, yes, but how could she know anything beyond sexual desire? She wasn't Damien. Diana chuckled and leaned back against her arms.
Just because I play with hearts and sex doesn't mean I don't know my way around the human mind. You happen to be an open book of information, but I digress. I can give you your freedom with ease. It'll be like you were always meant to have it. All I ask is that you hand over the boys. What do you say?
Was I seriously being given this choice? The man I loved for anything I wanted? A demon like Diana was powerful enough, yes, but did I even want to consider giving up the man I loved? Not really. I mean, all the choices we have made are still our own, and I kind of don't agree with somebody else kind of fucking around with that. She must have been crazier than I thought. I glared. Absolutely not. Diana sighed and stood up into the railing. What I wasn't expecting was her lifting me into the air. I tried to scream, but my voice suddenly became locked in silence. What was Diana doing? Diana made me float over to her, and she smirked as we touched noses.
Well, if I can't return home with the boys, I might as well return home with the power to fight back.
Diana finally leaned in and kissed me. I shut my eyes, feeling the need to bite her lips, but finding no muscle in my face, listening to my mental commands. What did she do to me? I didn't want to enjoy it, but every single nerve of my body was flaring in excitement and pleasure as she kissed me. I felt my energy drain slowly, but forcefully from my body. Was she using her magic to force energy out of my body? It seemed like forever, but finally, Diana pulled away from the kiss with a smile and a look of her lips. She lowered me back onto the patio and chuckled. For some reason, even though nothing seemed to have changed, she looked stronger, powerful. It was almost like looking at a new Diana. Diana then stepped back off of the railing, making me catch my breath in my throat. As she took another step away from me, she looked to be simply walking in the night air. Diana smirked at my sudden surprise.
May you never regret your choice, human. If you do, I'll happily come and take it away.
With a flick of her hair, Diana turned and walked away into the night, fading into the darkness like a shadow. I watched her fade away before looking back to the man in my bed. Did I make the right choice? My heart gave a gentle thump, giving me my answer. I did, and I will never regret it for as long as I live. I walked back inside and gently crawled back into bed within the embrace of the safest arms I knew. I snuggled close to the warmth before closing my eyes. I was happy. The rest of the story can almost be passed over. With Diana gone, my life returned to normal with school and my friends, not remembering what had happened. It was as if magic never even appeared in my world. One thing was for certain, however. Mathew loved me, and I loved him just as much. We had promised our lives to each other, and nothing was going to take that away from us, not even time itself. Our love was so powerful, it practically overwhelmed me with joy every time I found him holding me close every morning. To think, a demon in love with a human like me. It was unthinkable, unbelievable, it was practically impossible. But it was true. The other boys decided to leave of their own accord. They knew that my future would only need Mathew at my side, so they each decided to start their own lives in the human world. Mathew understood perfectly, wishing his brothers as the best. Besides, Mathew had proven to be the man by finding someone to care for. His brothers didn't need to worry about him, now that he was caring for me. I felt bad as well for being closer to Mathew than the others, but they reassured me that I was okay and that they would remain nearby should I ever need them. I was happy for that. They made me promise, however, that I would love Mathew for as long as we lived. That promise was instantly given. But what of my future? Well, it was kind of made for me, Before I graduated, James decided to step into the light of the Anderson Toys Company, and, with the help of his demon powers and leadership charisma, he managed to influence not only the entire board, but my father as well into letting him run for CEO. I was beyond shocked. How James managed to do all that was beyond me, but when the votes was called, James had taken over the company I was destined to have. He vowed to respect the wishes of the late CEO and help the company become an even grander company. For a demon, it was simple to make a company grand. My grandfather would have been proud to see how James helped it shine. With the CEO position filled, my father had no choice but to let me decide my future, which made me happy beyond compare. I no longer would have the future scaring me into a corner. I could choose my life of my own. That being said, I was still scared of where the future was going to take me. What did I want to do? Did I want to help James build the company? Did I want to venture off on my own? Mathew reassured me that he would support me and help me through whatever I decided to do. I was grateful and would never forget that promise. I was hoping, and nothing could shake me down from that happiness. One afternoon, a good couple of years after the boys and I had met, I had a moment to myself, so I wandered my house and took in all that had happened as if it was all a dream. The demons, the devils, the magic, it was all surreal to believe. It almost frightened me to think that it could have all been a dream. But the warm feeling in my heart reminded me that it was all real. The demons, the magic, the love I had, all real. I smiled as I held out my hands to my chest, relishing the feelings dancing within my soul. I let out a happy sigh before looking up and seeing where I had wandered to. I realized that I was standing in the dining room. I stopped at the smell of baked goods. Taking a gigantic whiff, I let the smell of sugar and sweets fill my senses. Mathew must be baking again. Hell yeah! I tiptoed over and peeked into the kitchen, wanting to know what he was making.
Almost done.
I watched as Mathew started to decorate an already wonderful-looking cake with blue and white frosting. It looked delicious. I was practically salivating. However, as I watched him, I smiled. He looked so concentrated in his work, it was adorable.
And there! Perfect!
Mathew stepped back from the cake, allowing me to see his masterpiece. It was indeed perfect. I wanted to taste it soon. That looks amazing, Mathew.
What?
Mathew quickly turned to me in surprise, trying to hide the cake as I laughed.
I'm not done. I mean...
Mathew? I walked over and smiled, giving him a kiss before walking around him to the cake. Closer, it looks all the more scrumptious. What is this for?
Well, I mean, it's for something pretty important.
I looked to Mathew, raising an eyebrow as he wrapped an arm around my waist. What is it for?
Guess. I'll give you 3 chances.
Or what? What if I don't get it right?
Then the cake is all mine.
No! You can't do that! It's not fair! Instinctively, I wanted to pull away, but Mathew laughed and dabbed some whipped cream on my nose from a nearby decorating spatula.
It's totally fair. Now just guess.
Is it your birthday? Mathew shook his head.
Nope. Second guess.
Is it an anniversary? Matthew nodded, but before I could cheer, Mathew rotated his hand, gesturing me to continue.
Anniversary of?
I puffed my cheeks. I could memorize facts and lessons, but dates were bad. It was like asking a girly girl when her boyfriend's frat party was. Mathew laughed before he kissed my cheek, making my puffed cheeks deflate.
It's the anniversary of when we first met.
I had practically forgotten. He was right. It had been a couple years since I moved in, and met Mathew and his brothers. He threw a party last year for it. How could I have forgotten? Time definitely flew. Mathew smiled at me, making my heart flutter and squeal once again.
I want to celebrate it every year in a different way. Next year will be something extraordinary. For now, though, this cake will do.
I quickly pulled Mathew's head down with my hands and kissed him sweetly, wanting to show my appreciation with a kiss. He stared at me as if his greatest wish had come true. I felt back a giggle at the sight. Mathew gently pulled me to him, hugging me to his chest. I nuzzled into Mathew's chest, hearing his gentle heartbeat and memorizing his tempo.
I love you.
I love you too. Before I could finish, suddenly the cake, which had been sitting silently and peacefully on the counter, exploded into a giant mess on it. Mathew luckily was quick enough to pull us back before he hit with flying cake pieces.
What the?
I looked at the cake to see a very mischievous little creature standing over the cake, triumphant at what I had done. I began to laugh as Mathew grew red-faced.
Simon Tabby!
I quickly rushed over and grabbed Simon, who made a squeak noise in my hands. I was still giggling as Mathew came over and glared daggers at the white doll covered in cake. To calm Mathew down, however, I stretched up on my toes and kissed him softly on the lips. Mathew stared but kissed back, not wanting to let me go without a kiss of his own. I love you, Mathew. Mathew sighed before smiling at me, finally calm.
I love you too.
I didn't want to wake up if this was indeed a dream. I felt light as a feather, not wanting to ever let go of this man in my life. There were no words that could describe the emotions within me. I felt joy, happiness, ecstatic, high all at once. Here I was, with the man I would be with forever, with a cake I would delight in, even in pieces. Not gonna lie, this picture is actually really, really cute. Like, look at that. Look, that is so cute. Aw. Damn it, Mathew, you're too cute for your own good. God fucking damn it, boy. Stop being so cute. I had gained the heart of a demon. No, of a man I loved. I vowed to cherish him and love him for the remainder of my days and beyond. Could a demon love a human forever? I knew Mathew could. And that was my happily ever after. Ending. Mathew's cake. Demon War! Yeah, I don't care. And that is it for Let's Play Seduce Me, Mathew's Route. Obviously the next episode's bonus content, but that's the end for this one. What can I say though? Mathew really is cute. Like, he's just so nice and polite. Like, in an innocent way. Just like, boy, stop it. Please, you're giving me a sugar rush for fuck's sake. But yeah, Mathew's really cute. I really don't play him that often, unfortunately. And I really should. He's really, really cute. But yeah, not that much different from the rest of them, unfortunately. Now, Damien, on the other hand. Damien. His story starts out the same as the most, but the story, as the story progresses, it will actually change later on. And it's quite interesting. But you're going to have to wait for next time on that. Whenever I decide to do Damien, because it took me a while to get around to Mathew. But yeah, definitely after Damien, all the boy demons will be done, and all the stories after that will be completely different, so it'll be really nice to explore different stories and routes with those. But anyway, I'll let the credits roll as I say, I am Tara the Fox, you are the viewer, and I hope to see you next time.
Take over your life. Soon you will see that you are free. Take the future in your hands now. It's in your sight. Go on. There's no better time to start. Your path is clearer now. Inside will fade. The trials that you face will make you strong. Fly high, feel the wind blow as you fly. Your journey's There's 100 battles left to fight. Be free to be who you want to be. Love, you have just one life only. Know the choices that you make are right. Journey's far from over. There's a million stories left to write. Be free to explore the life you seek, to embrace the love you carry. Know the choices that